to Jonathan Taylor. Huge hole. He's at the 30. He's going to go. 10, 5, touchdown. Jonathan Taylor made a man miss the line of scrimmage and then runs it into Pater for a one-handed INT. Are you kidding me? Kenny Moore.
What a play by Nyheim Hines.
Horseshoe is back, baby. The horseshoe is back.
What's going on, Colts Nation? Welcome back to another episode of the Bring the Juice Colts podcast. So just wanted to kind of give you guys a little bit of a quick video on basically just wanting to kind of talk about the positions where I feel there is a little bit of concern in regards to how I feel they'll play this upcoming season. Okay. Now, just for a quick disclaimer, I'm not saying that I feel these positions are going to do bad or things of that nature. I'm just saying there is a little bit of concern, at least as of right now, how I think they're going to react. So let me just get the first thing out of the way in regards to basically how this one is going to trigger some of you. I know it will. I'm going to do my best to try to word this properly to make sure I don't offend anyone by this notion. The quarterback position kind of concerns me a little bit, okay? So everybody on this channel knows that Cody and I have been big supporters of Carson Wentz, and we feel that this year he's going to do very well, and we feel that what he provides to the offense now is something we haven't seen over the last 2 years, okay? What I want you to just kind of understand is in the back of my head, there's always just a little tiny shade of doubt on how explosive and how good Carson Wentz will actually become. Do I still think he's going to do really well this season? Yes, I still believe so. I'm just saying that I know it's hard to be 100% confident in Carson Wentz just based off the season we know that the Philadelphia Eagles had last season, and with Carson Wentz as the quarterback. Zach Hicks was doing a film study on Carson Wentz and was saying that, you know, anywhere from 12 to 15 of the sacks that Carson Wentz took were on him versus the actual offensive line. Now, obviously, the offensive line giving up 35 to 38 sacks on a quarterback in 12 games by themselves is horrific. It's horrific. It's a really bad offensive line because they were dealing with bad injuries all the time. And we know that this offensive line is going to provide a lot more protection for Carson Wentz. But for any football player, when you get into a bad habit from an old team that you were on and you got into a bad habit from that team, you always wonder how much of that is going to transfer over to your new team, right? So how much is Carson Wentz going to evade the pocket versus stepping up in the pocket? How much is Carson Wentz going to ignore the first dump route and try to go deep and result in a sack or an incompletion, right? Those are the kinds of things that, you know, reach my eyes when I'm thinking in terms of what I'm afraid of them doing, right? I don't know exactly what to expect from him in those kinds of situations, right? So I'm really hoping that Carson can learn from these experiences from this last year and be able to learn and adapt, have confidence in his ability, have confidence in his offensive line to ignore those bad habits, and have confidence in his wide receivers to go forward with it rather than trying to go all the way down the field with it every time. Right, and having faith in Frank Reich, his old OC, and now his head coach, to put him in the best position to play football and to be a quarterback that can succeed here. All right, so Now we're shifting to the defense here because I really don't have a whole lot of concerns for this offense the rest of the way. I feel that our wide receiver depth is very good. I feel it has a good combination of youth and veteran leadership. I feel that our running back group is the same way. I feel our offensive line is the same way. And I feel that our tight ends are the same way. So I really don't have much concern about those positions on the offense. Now, I do have a concern on the defensive end position, okay? And I think Cody and I both agree that in the future that it won't be as big of an issue a few years down the road when you have the chance to train these guys, they adapt, they learn, they get better, they get healthy with Dio Adangbo, right? And I think ultimately that's where the biggest concern is that Kwity Paye is the one that's going to lead this defensive end group right now, and Kwity Paye is a rookie, okay? And even as a rookie and even as talented as he is, he's still a very raw prospect. So do I expect the defensive end group to be polished by the end of the year? I'm not 100% sure of it. We kind of put out videos of who's going to move into this roster spot, right? We have a Kamoko Toure who we hope is going to end up being what we saw in 2019. We have Kwity Paye, who we feel can be a really good player on the defensive end, but may not just get everything that we think he can. And then Dio Adangbo, who has all the potential in the world to be a great player, but right now he's not healthy. And then guys like Al-Quadin Muhammad, Ben Banogu, Al-Quadin Muhammad, who's shown flashes, but really hasn't done a whole lot number-wise. Ben Banogu, who was a healthy scratch last year, and Tyquan Lewis, who, again, was a good role player, just didn't really have a breakout year. So that position group kind of concerns me with, how is the season going to start with that group? I'll have more confidence in them going on later in the year, but I just wonder how it's going to start out. And then the next position of concern is the middle linebacker group. This linebacker group with Darius Leonard and Bobby Okereke, I feel a lot more confident in. But ultimately, the Colts will still run some 4-3, mixed in with some 4-2-5 at times. So, obviously, for a 4-2-5 defense, you wouldn't have to worry about the middle linebacker spot. But for those early down times where you're going to run the football or those short yardage situations, who exactly is going to fill that middle spot? We've heard the talks of, Zaire Franklin, who, feels like he can now step into that role. We've heard the likes of an EJ Speed with, no pun intended, he has literal freakish speed and strength, is just very inexperienced at the position. Outside of that, you really just don't know what you have in store with this group. I'm a little concerned with it because if Darius or Bobby were to go down, what's going to happen? What's going to happen there? So it's a little disconcerting for me, but I'm sure the Colts will figure something out. But right now, I'm a little worried about it. And then the number 2 outside corner spot. Now, obviously, the Colts have Xavier Rhodes and Kenny Moore, 2 of the best corners in the game right now. So that's great. Xavier Rhodes was, a top, any way you slice it, was a top 12 corner last year. And Kenny Moore is the best slot corner in football. But obviously, with the corner room, it doesn't matter if you have one great corner. If your other corners are not or below average or just average at best, then that's the side that people are going to target. And that's the issue we have here now, is who is exactly going to take that spot? Is it TJ Carey? Rocky Sin? Is it Isaiah Rodgers? Is it Marvell Tell when he comes back? I'll be honest, I really don't have a lot of faith in any of those guys as of right now. I liked TJ Carey and what he provided at some points throughout the year. I feel TJ Carey would be the most consistent, but I don't see a very high ceiling with a guy like TJ Carey. That's all I'm saying. I feel like he's more of a role person to be used in certain situations. Don't know if you really can throw him in that spot at number 2 and say, the position's yours, take it. Now, everyone's thinking Marvell Tell will probably pop his head into the mixture here. I certainly hope so. I hope Rock Ya-Sin takes some more notes and figures out how to be more disciplined this year. But right now, that position for the number 2 corner, outside corner, is a little bit disconcerting because we still just don't know who's going to take it. So, and we saw how bad it was for the Colts last year at the end of the year when people started targeting that spot. All right, well, that's going to do it for this one, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Hopefully you enjoyed. Let me know if there's a position that you feel is should be of a concern for the Colts, and tell me why that is. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. And as always, go Colts.